Inner rise. Being stuck in a job you hate feels like living inside a quiet prison. The air is still, the walls hum with fluorescent light, and even silence sounds heavy. Each morning weighs more than the last. The alarm clock becomes an enemy. Its red numbers scream before you even open your eyes. You drag yourself forward, not because you want to, but because bills don't wait. The rhythm of survival replaces the rhythm of life. Time cards punch louder than words. You move like a machine, trading hours for brief moments of peace that never last. Behind every glowing screen sits a heart that's fading, eyes fixed, soul distant, trapped beneath polite exhaustion, surrounded by people, yet completely alone. This is the hidden weight of burnout. The silent collapse that happens in plain sight. Burnout doesn't strike in a single moment. It builds slowly, one sigh at a time. It begins outside the office doors, where you stand still, breathing in dread before stepping back into the cage. It hides behind a practiced smile in meetings, the kind that feels more like armor than expression. Everyone talks, but you can barely hear yourself inside. You sit in the break room scrolling without purpose, staring at a phone that promises escape but never delivers it. The silence hums louder than the vending machine. Sunday arrives marked in red, not a day of rest, but a warning. The calendar feels like a countdown, the weekend already fading before it begins. That night you lie awake, eyes open to the blue glow of your phone, heart racing for no reason except the thought of Monday. Sleep feels like a privilege you no longer earn. At your desk, papers pile higher each day. You move, but not really. Your hands obey, your mind drifts, your soul waits for something to change. And in the sea of identical desks, surrounded yet unseen, you realize this. Burnout isn't loud. It's the quiet erasure of who you used to be. A job you hate doesn't end when you clock out. It follows you home. You open the door, drop your bag, and the exhaustion spills across the floor like a shadow you can't leave behind. Dinner turns into silence. The smallest things spark frustration, and the people you love most start to feel the weight you're carrying. You lie down on the couch, still dressed from work, body heavy, mind empty. The TV hums softly in the background, but nothing really reaches you. At night, sleep comes shallow and restless. You turn, twist, stare at the ceiling, tired but unable to rest. The mind won't stop replaying the next day before it begins. Dreams shrink into paychecks. You open your wallet and see survival where ambition used to live. Just numbers, no meaning, no space for joy. The guitar gathers dust. The brush stiffens in a jar. The parts of you that once created, imagined, laughed, all waiting for the version of you that never comes home. You look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. What was once identity now feels like a mask you put on for work. And in the dark silence that follows, when even your reflection fades, you realize burnout doesn't just drain energy, it erases the memory of who you were before it began. Fear keeps us where we are. We tell ourselves we'll leave someday once things calm down, once it feels safer. But that day never comes. The rent notice on the table stares back like a warning. The weight of survival presses harder than the dream of change. The hospital bill arrives next, and you grip your insurance card as if it were oxygen. Losing it feels unthinkable. You open a job application. The blank fields waiting like open doors, yet your hand trembles. Frozen by the fear of failing again. Every morning, you descend the same subway stairs, one among hundreds moving in silence. Routine becomes camouflage for despair. At night, the quiet hum of a lamp fills the room as you sit still, pretending not to hear the voice inside whispering that you're meant for more. You repeat the same line, like a prayer. I should be grateful. But gratitude doesn't erase pain. It only muffles the scream. You wear your smile like a mask, polished and polite, while inside, exhaustion replaces emotion. No one notices the difference anymore. The cage is invisible, built from comfort, predictability, and fear. It feels safer than freedom because freedom now feels dangerous. And so you stay, not because you want to, but because leaving means confronting the life you've forgotten how to live. Burnout is not weakness. it's the body whispering enough. It starts quietly, then demands to be heard. It's the mind begging for rest while your hands keep moving, pretending you still can. Home and work blur together until you can't tell where. Exhaustion ends and life begins. Hope fades into cynicism. You stop believing things will get better. You just hope they don't get worse. Even small tasks feel like mountains. A simple email, a phone call, a box to lift. Everything feels heavier than it should. The ringing phone becomes background noise. You hear it, but you can't respond anymore. You drop what once brought you joy, a book, a guitar, a brush, not because you stopped loving it, but because burnout took the energy to care. Then one day, you write it down. Burnout. The word stares back, raw and undeniable. Naming it doesn't fix it, but it makes it real. Awareness enters like light through a crack. Small, fragile, but enough to remind you that you're still here. And when you finally stand still in the silence, aware of your own exhaustion, you realize that recognition is not defeat. It's the first step toward healing. You may not be able to quit today, but you can still care for yourself. The smallest acts can become lifelines. Close the laptop. Breathe slowly. Let silence fill the room until your shoulders remember how to drop their weight. Push the coffee aside and pour a glass of water. Feel the difference between stimulation and nourishment. Step outside. Let the sun touch your face, even for a minute, proof that life still exists beyond screens and walls. When the day ends, put the phone away. Let the drawer close on the noise that never stops asking for more. Stretch. Roll your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Remind your body it's still yours. Write down the feelings you can't say out loud. The page will hold what you can't carry. Light a candle. Let its quiet flame remind you that calm can be chosen, not earned. Listen to something that makes you feel alive. A song, a memory, a moment that still belongs to you. These aren't solutions, but anchors, small acts of survival that keep you from sinking while you learn to breathe again. Burnout is not forever. It may feel endless now, but no fire burns without fuel. Start by asking yourself what drains you the most. Not to judge, but to understand the pattern that keeps you tired. Then ask what gives you energy, even in small amounts. A walk, a song, a quiet morning. Those are clues to where life still lives. Remember the skills you've forgotten. The ones you buried to survive, but that once made you feel alive. Look toward what matters. Values that guide you more than any paycheck ever could. Talk to someone who sees beyond your exhaustion. A mentor, a friend, anyone who reminds you that you're more than your job. Take one small step. Update your resume, send one message, sign up for that class. Tiny actions are seeds of momentum. Even when the path feels invisible, keep moving. Progress is built quietly, one deliberate breath, one brave step at a time. Because every wall you've built around yourself has a hidden door. And the handle is always closer than it seems. Every cage has a key. And sometimes the key is simply deciding that you still deserve to be free. You are more than your job. The world won't end if you rest, and your worth was never defined by productivity. Work is a part of life, not life itself. It was never meant to consume everything that makes you human. Burnout is not a permanent identity. It's a signal, not a sentence. Your story doesn't end in exhaustion. The strength that kept you surviving can now help you rebuild. It was never weakness. It was endurance waiting to be redirected. Every small act of care matters. Every breath, every pause, every boundary you choose to protect, every small step toward change counts. Progress doesn't shout. It whispers in the quiet moments when you keep going. Do not confuse endurance with purpose. You weren't made to only persist. You were made to feel, to create, to live. Life is too short to be only survival. The world outside your job is still waiting for you to return. Share this message with someone who feels trapped. Remind them they are not alone, and neither are you. Subscribe to Inner Rise, and let's rise together. One act of awareness, one breath of courage, one life reclaimed at a time.
This was Inner Rise. Subscribe now and rise with us.